Southern Tier Brewing Company, Warlock, Imperial, Pumpkin Stout, 8.6% alcohol. Let's give it a shot. So following with the pumpkin beers and the Oktoberfest beers, this is no different. Just kind of rolling as we get closer to Halloween. This is a confusing, very bitter, very strong, spiced beer. It's an imperial stout, so they tend to be slightly stronger and more aggressive and powerful. But with the pumpkin, it's not a sweet pumpkin by any means. I'm not saying it's completely dry, but there is a slight sweetness, very, very slight, very mild, very toned back sweetness. But it's very strong on that spiced effect. I don't want to say it's completely spiced out of its mind, where it just kind of lingers like as if you were trying to do the cinnamon or nutmeg challenge. However, to me it's really strong and bitter. It's not bitter like as if you bit into a lemon bitter. It's bitter as if, again, you just dipped your tongue into a bowl of nutmeg or cinnamon, and that's the kind of bitterness I'm getting out of it. To me, it's hard to say that this is a pumpkin beer. I understand they might have used some sort of pumpkin-ish style spices, but the Imperial Stout is very strong. It's a very dark beer. It's extremely high in alcohol with 8.6% alcohol, and it makes it a heavy beer. This is, I don't know. I don't want to be super critical because I can see how people would like this. However, my drinkability would be 1, just because of the high alcohol content and the amount of flavors that you're getting out of this beer are really, really strong. If you're a weak stout drinker or you don't like your really strong beers, this isn't going to do it for you. And if you like your pumpkin beers, this isn't going to do it for you either. You have to like those imperial stouts. You have to like your stouts to begin with, but you also have to like your high alcohol content, and you have to have a really kind of brace yourself for the impact of the flavors that you're going to get out of this beer. I wasn't expecting it. I believe I had this beer in the past, and again, it kind of confuses you. You look at the label, and you kind of think, how is that a pumpkin beer? Well, because it says it's an Imperial Pumpkin Stout. However, when you try this beer, you kind of have to, you don't have to dig much, but it's not exactly on the surface that this is a pumpkin beer. You do kind of have to think about it while you're drinking the beer. It's just really strong, really, really kind of pungent. But again, I would limit mine to 1. This is clearly meant for either maybe not necessarily just the Halloween, October drinking beer or the November style drinking beer, but cold months in general, it being an Imperial Stout, and it's heavy, it's dark, it's a stout beer. Any cold month drinking, that's where you're going to get this beer. On a scale of 1 to 10, though, I'll give this a 4. For a pumpkin beer, I'm very picky on my pumpkins. This didn't do it for me, and it gave me this effect that I didn't want out of it. That being said, I'm trying not to criticize it as to what I wanted out of the beer. I'm trying to criticize it as to what it is. What it is an Imperial Stout. It hits the nail on the head with that. However, it's the bitterness out of it and the flavors that are mixed into it. I don't feel like they complement each other well enough for this to be a beer that people will keep coming back to and drinking over and over and over again. And if they do, it's hard to imagine that they drink multiple of these in one sitting. That's just my opinion. Don't be mad at me. That's just where I'm coming from with this beer. All in all, I can't see myself coming back to this. Maybe I will in a few years. Maybe I'll forget about the beer and I'll pick it up on the shelf one day thinking, oh, it's a pumpkin beer. And I won't be very pleased after I try it again. However, I'm not trying I'm not trying to bash Southern Tier Brewing Company. This is a very well done craft beer. However, I think that the pumpkin doesn't fit. I think maybe another flavor would have done really great with this beer, but not the pumpkin. So again, that's Southern Tier Brewing Company, Warlock Imperial Pumpkin Stout, 8.6% alcohol.